Today we're gonna start the first video of the new How to Paint Your Dark Souls miniature series. We will start with the Silver Knight Spearman, because the painting techniques are quite simple and easy to follow. If you like this tutorial, you will find much more Dark Souls content, other board game unboxing, how to play videos and reviews on this channel. So if you're new, welcome, and consider subscribing to always receive the latest updates. For reference, I'm using this Dark Souls Trilogy compendium that I borrowed from a friend. Thanks Fred, it was really useful. Whenever I can, I try to make my miniatures the closest as possible from the game, and as you can see, there is basically two colors for the knight. The metal from the armor and the light brown of the cape. To start this project, you need the Lead Belcher for the armor base, Zundry Dust for the cape base, Seraphim Sepia shade, Null Oil shade, Necron Compound dry, and the black primer. Speaking of black primer, that will be our first step. I detailed the process of preparing the miniatures in another video, so don't forget to check it out before you start painting. For the armor base, we'll be using the Lead Belcher base color. I had a not so little happy accident with this bottle, so make sure the lid is closed well before shaking. Take a bit of the paint and dissolve well in the water. The paint can't be too thick so it dries and covers too much of the texture, nor too thin to make it dry marks. Take a bit of the paint and start applying on the miniature. Make decisive strikes, but taking care not to add too much paint in the miniature. You can always come back later and add another layer if you need to. Don't be shy to add paint on the insides of the miniature and remove the excess afterwards. At this point, there's not many secrets, just continue to add paint in the model evenly. So we're gonna speed things up a bit. I'm holding my miniature by its base because I'll paint it afterwards, but if you have trouble holding it, you can use a miniature holder or make a DIY version with sticky tack on a bottle or another thing you feel comfortable with. Continue painting all across the miniature, avoiding the cape area, and let it dry. The final result should be a shiny silver knight, ready to apply the colors for the cape. For the cape, we'll be using the Zundry Dust base color. Mix it with water and then we'll start the same process. Start applying the paint on the miniature, now taking care not to put paint on top of the silver layer. I find it easier starting with the edges and then pulling the paint downwards through the cape. When you reach the sides, you're gonna need a bit more precision. So put a little bit of paint and then try to go as close as the edge of the paint as possible. Once the model dries out, you can apply another layer. This can be useful if your paint was too thin. Let it dry so we can start with the magic of shade, adding the details in the miniature. We'll be using the Null Oil shade for this part. Make sure the bottle is well shaken and dip a shade brush in it to soak the paint. Start applying on the model, especially on the groove parts of the texture. This is what it will help us getting the shades and details of the miniature pop. Be careful not to add too much, we still want to get the metallic paint of the Lead Belcher color once it's done. This color should be applied only on the Lead Belcher, as we're gonna use the Seraphim Sepia for the cape. Let the dark shade dry before applying the second Seraphim Sepia shade to the cape. The last step is to add the metallic highlights of the miniature with the Necron Compound dry. The dry color is a pasty one. Take a bit and you have to use a paper towel to spread it thin, so you can only have a little bit of paint when you are going to pass through the model. You're basically just gonna spray it a little bit and making sure just that you get a little bit of the paint, because we don't want to lose the details of the shades that we applied previously. Continue to do it all over the model, trying to capture where the light would hit on the miniature, or places of the armor that have been used more often, where you think the metal would be shinier. And this is the final result. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and see you next time.